In this video, I am going to be making a tier list for all of the different gadgets in the Finals Season 4. We're going to ignore this. This tier list also came with a bunch of weapons and specializations, and I actually couldn't find a template that didn't have these, and I didn't really want to go and, screenshot all of the different gadgets in the game, so I just thought I'd use this template, but we're just going to ignore this, and this is why this is called ignore. Then we just also have a second ignore one there, just to say that I'm not doing all of that, I'm just doing the gadgets. Right. So, I think we'll just go in order here. So S is like, just put it on. Just put it on. A is the good stuff. It's good stuff. B is stuff that's niche, which is where the anti-gravity cube is going to go. C is the not so good stuff, and then D is just a bad thing to put on. B is niche. Anti-gravity cube is niche. This is going to pair well with like the winch claw, or with someone that has the dematerializer on. There's a couple of, or like the goo gun even. This is going to pair well with a couple of different setups that you can run. So I think it's just going to go nicely into the niche tier. It's not going to be fantastic. It's not even going to be that good, but there are setups that you can run that will make this thing worthwhile and let you get a couple of, last minute, last second kind of sneaky cash out steals, I would say. And also it can be kind of good for, just making an enemy not able to move as freely as they would like, which I'm sure is useful in certain situations as well. APS turret. This is interesting, because right now with the CL40, I don't want to call it the meta, but the CL40 thing going on, this is probably good, but I'm going to say it's niche. And I'm going to put it ahead of the anti-gravity cube. It's niche because there's always ways to get around the APS turret. You can either shoot it, or literally just not throw whatever you're throwing in there into the APS turret itself. Or if someone has, a CL40 or an MGL32, they can just quite simply get rid of the APS turret just by using like regular ammo. So I definitely don't think this is going to be the best thing ever, but if you know who you're up against, let's say it's the final round, and you know what your enemies are using, or you know what they're most likely going to be using, then this can certainly be good to go up against. That's someone, let's say someone has, like 2 frags, a gas nade, and a pyro nade, and you've got one of these. This is going to be able to negate like 3 of those nades. So it can be useful if you know what you're going up against, but if you don't know what you're going up against, it's probably just going to be better to pick something else. But it can be useful. It can be good to stop you all from getting wiped by a CL40 if you're all together in one room. It can be good to pair with the Guardian turret, so you can go for the double turret setup. It can just be good in general. But I would say it's pretty niche, and generally it is not so good, so I'm going to put it in the niche tier. Barricades are probably next. These are good. Barricades are good. Very, very good for defending an area, and I also just really, really like them for movement. There's a lot of situations where I can't quite jump up to the roof above me, or the floor above me, and if I pop a barricade down, jump on top of that, and then try and mantle the roof on top of me, I can generally climb up. So this is actually just really good for movement, but in general, Besides that, it's just very, very good for fortifying areas, and since heavies can't use vents, I think this is very good for heavies as well to just, block the vent off, so if they can't use it, nobody can use it. So I actually really like the barricades, and I think they're pretty solid. So then we have C4, and I don't think this is great, so this is going to go into the niche tier, because you can make it worthwhile, but it's not going to be the best thing ever. If you've got a trio stacking team, this can be good to, if you all go underneath the cash out, and someone starts stealing it, if you say like 3, 2, 1 on your comms to teammates, and then you suddenly blow this thing up, cash out falls down, the people fall down, and then you've got, a nice setup underneath so you can quickly take everyone out, like a flamethrower, a dome shield, maybe you got a couple turrets in there, and you can just quickly wipe the enemy team. It can be good. This thing can be good. Or if you're like really good at putting it in sneaky spots, which is pretty hard to do because it's, pretty big and it blinks and it makes a sound, but it can be worthwhile. I don't want to say it's not good, because there are certainly situations where I've been, tricked by someone that's hiding underneath a certain room using the C4. You can also just use a dematerializer or something, but the C4 also does damage. So it definitely can be good. It's like a multi-purpose tool, and also if you want to blow up a wall, you can go ahead and blow up that wall, absolutely no problem with the C4. So you can use it in certain situations, and you'll be able to get away with it. Then we have the breach charge, and this is just going to be pretty much exactly the same. It's going to be pretty much exactly the same thing. And that's where the sentence ends. Pretty much is exactly the same thing. Obviously not going to do as much damage, but I think you have more uses. So pretty much just the same deal there. I'm not going to go through everything again. Defib is next. Just put it on. Just put the defibrillator on. Just put it on. I'm not going to say anything else. Just put it on. Even if it's power shift. If you want to win a game of power shift, just put the defib on. If you don't want to win, you're just messing around, sure, do whatever. But just put it on if you want to win. Okay, if you want to win, just put the defibrillator on. Okay? The data reshaper isn't good. It's just not good. I'm going to put this in D because it's just not good. It's just not a good gadget. It's really not. So that's going to go into D. It's just not good. Like, you know, it can be sometimes useful, a tiny bit useful, to turn a barrel into the certain barrel that you want. But, you know, if you want a goo barrel, bring goo grenades in. If you want a pyro barrel, bring a pyro nade in. Right? You can just literally bring in exactly what you want. And if it's like a goo grenade, you can bring in 2 of them. If it's an explosive barrel, you can bring in 2 frag grenades, right? So, like, just bring in what it is that you want to bring in. You know? There's just really not a whole lot of point to it. It's a nice idea, but it really does just suck quite a lot. And it's just not very good. Just bring in what it is that you want to bring in. There's nothing that the barrels do that, you know, some type of gadget can't do. And you generally get more of the, you know, throwables that you want, and you get them instantly instead of having to run around the area looking for barrels. Right? So just, I would really stay away from this. It's really just not worthwhile. Dome Shield is going to be good. It's not going to be an S tier anymore because it only lasts like 7 seconds and it really doesn't have any health at all. So it's not fantastic anymore, but it's definitely not niche. So I would say this is just good. I actually am going to put it behind the barricades because I feel like the barricades are better. It can buy you a very valuable 7 seconds, and it can definitely buy you time. It can, you know, if you're stealing a cash out, this can tank a couple of shots, which may be the amount of shots it needs to tank for you to be able to get the cash out. It also prevents people from being able to throw nades in and stuff like that, which can be useful as well. So definitely just all around very, very good, very, very solid. And always just a good pick to have on any heavy loadout, really. It's always going to come in handy pretty much any game. Right, Explosive Mine is not so good anymore. I wouldn't even call it niche. I just don't think this is going to be that good anymore. That you only have 1 of them. So it's really just not going to be that fantastic. And also mines in general are always a little bit funky, we'll say. Sometimes they just don't blow up, and sometimes they blow up when you don't think they should blow up. So their hitboxes are already a little bit weird, and also mines just have been nerfed into the absolute ground with the launch of Season 4. So I just think they're not going to be the best thing ever. I don't think they're bad, because, you know, let's face it, I don't think anything is really going to be as bad as the Data Reshaper on this tier list, but they're definitely not good. I think it's safe to say that they're going to be not so good to use. Frags are probably next, and these are good. I mean, frag grenades are good. Frag grenades are great. They do lots of damage. You have 2 of them, pretty fast cooldown. Just very, very good for throwing into an area and just doing some damage, getting some splash damage in there, maybe damaging multiple people, or just getting a kill if someone's low. And the further you throw this, like, the shorter the fuse on it. So sometimes you can just get long range kills with this, and it's also good to, like, throw at the top of a stairway if someone is following you. Then maybe you're going to be able to turn around and finish them off if this blows them up. So I would say that frag grenades are definitely pretty solid. Then we've got flashbangs, which have been buffed this season, and I do think they're significantly better than they used to be. Before, they definitely would have just been in, like, bad or not good. But now I feel like they're pretty okay. Now they can be pretty annoying. Since the launch of Season 4. I've got blinded a couple of times where these have been pretty annoying. I think they probably still need, like, a longer duration on them. But if you get, like, a directive hit on them, I think they're probably quite good. I think I'm probably going to put it last in B, because they're very niche. But I feel like if you're running the right loadout, you can probably make this work. Like if you're running like Dematerializer with like the Model 1887, you come off at a weird angle and then you flashbang them so they don't know that you're there, you can probably get a couple free picks with this. Especially with a CL40 actually. If you're pairing CL40 with this, you flashbang someone, you run around, you demat the, the wall, then you get them at a weird angle and they just blow up before they can see anything again. That's probably going to go pretty well for you. So you can make it work. I just think it would take a lot of work to make it work, if that makes sense. But I think you can definitely make it work. So into B it goes. Next up is gas grenades. And I think we're also going to put this into B. I'm going to put this first in B. We're not going to put the gas grenade in A because there's a lot of fire. A lot of heavies like fire. A lot of people like fire nades. And there's also fire barrels, right? So there's a lot of fire that can just, make the gas entirely useless. There's also a lot of healing beams, so you can just heal through the gas. And unless you place the gas absolutely perfectly, then generally it's not going to do a whole lot. You might get a tiny bit of damage on someone, but why not throw a frag grenade instead? Why not throw a pyro grenade instead, right? People aren't going to stand in the gas for a crazy long amount of time. And even if it's like the last second of a cash out, and you throw this at the cash out because your team's going to get wiped and maybe the enemy's team is going to steal it, so you try and throw this to prevent anyone from stealing it, they're just going to get healed through that. Or they're going to go far away enough from the gas, but they're still going to be able to steal the cash out. So if you want to block off a room, use a barricade. If you want to block off a room, you can even use a jump pad if you want to. But gas grenade probably isn't going to be the answer. It's very easy to counter. A lot of people just have fire on them by default, and they can also just use heals, right? So I really don't think it's going to be great. If you want pure damage, go for frags. If you want a different way of blocking off a room, there's other options for that as well, like barricades or goo, or, there's lots of other stuff, like jump pads even. So I don't think it's going to be great, but it also doesn't suck. So that's why it's going to go first in B. I think in general, gas grenades are going to be much less niche than anything else so far, which is why they're going first in B. We're going to do the gateway next. These are definitely niche. I'm going to put it just behind the flashbang because they can be good. Gateway can be good. Can be very, very good for just opening the vault and then zooming the vault to wherever you want to put it. But that's pretty much it. Generally, unless you're trio stacking with a team that really knows what they're doing and you're using comms and all of that kind of stuff. Unless you're doing that, you're generally not going to get any insane plays with this where all your team is waiting at one end of this and then you all throw nades in at the same time when the enemies show up at the other end of the gateway and all that kind of stuff. That generally isn't going to happen. I used the gateway a lot when it came out as a light, and I never got a single play where, we were waiting at point A, we were waiting for the enemies to get to point B, which is where the other gateway was. We open up both of the points and then we lob nades, and that never happened. It was good for transporting the vaults, which is why I'm putting it into B. There are a lot of like kind of last second vaults that I got because of this thing, plus like evasive dash. So it for sure can come in handy, but I don't think it's going to be good. I think you can make it good, but I don't think it's going to be good on its own. This is a gas mine. And I think I'm also going to put this into B. So I do think it's better than the gas grenade, because the gas grenade you throw, which has, well, they both have their advantages, right? The gas grenade you throw, the gas mine you place. But I feel like throwing the gas grenade isn't going to do a whole lot, but placing the gas mine and someone walks over it, you get the initial damage and then the, damage over time. You can like place this exactly where you want. So you can get this like directly on the cash out, and then when someone walks over it, that might actually be detrimental to them. That might prevent the steal. Maybe the healing beam medium is already dead, so he can't heal, right? So I know I said the gas grenade wasn't that good for those reasons, and that's why I put it into B tier. But the gas mine you can place much better, and it will blow up when you want it to blow up if someone runs through it, instead of, just throwing the gas and then for a while you can't go through there and then the gas goes away. Sometimes the gas happens at the wrong time. Sometimes you misjudge where you're throwing it. But with a gas mine, it only blows up when someone walks over it or if someone shoots it, right? So I do think it's going to be slightly better, but I still don't think it's going to be anything crazy. Glitch grenades are good. Are they in B tier or are they in A tier? I don't think they're fantastic. But I do think they can get the job done. So I'm going to put them first in B tier for now. I might move them up later, but for now I'm going to leave them in B. They only last a couple seconds, and you have to get hit by it in the first place. And would you rather, you know, disable someone's dematerializer, or would you rather do 100 damage to them with a frag grenade, you know? So I'm going to leave that in B. It definitely can be useful if, like, the three of you are really grouped up together, all have a healing chain together, and then, you know, you get hit by one of these things, you can't heal each other anymore, and then maybe one light comes down, tries to take you all out. But it only lasts a couple seconds, and you can always just move to cover, right? So I do think it's just going to be in B. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but I do think it can get the job done every now and then in certain situations. This is going to be the same for the glitch mine. I'm just going to put it directly behind it. I think glitch grenades are actually better than glitch mines, even though I said gas mines are better than gas grenades. Funnily enough, I don't think glitch mines are going to do a whole lot, especially now that you only have one, I'm pretty sure. They are good for stopping defibs, actually. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the mines ahead of the nades yet, because these are good for stopping defibs, can be super duper annoying. Even now that you only have one of them, instead of two, which is how it was in Season 3, they're really annoying for stopping defibs. And right now there's a lot of mediums, there's a lot of defibs. So this is like actually a pretty good counter to someone just instantly defibbing their teammate. It means they at least have to like grab their totem and run away. And I think it actually even stops you grabbing something temporarily. I think if you like, if you have someone's totem in your hand and you walk over a glitch mine, I'm pretty sure it like makes you drop the thing that you're carrying. So these are actually pretty solid. So I'm probably going to leave that first in B tier. So that's where I'm going to put that for now. It can definitely be very handy for stopping defibs, but I still don't think it's worthy of A tier. It's definitely good, though. Goo grenades, also very good. I might put these ahead of the glitch mine because they're always just... Actually, no, you know what? Goo is probably going to go into A. Because it's just always good. You always want to be defending the cash out area as much as you possibly can. You want to cut off as many entrances as you possibly can, and goo is going to be a very good way of doing that. If someone tries getting rid of the goo with either fire or with explosives, that's both, you know, fire they're using or explosives that they're using, and it also is going to let you know where the enemies are coming from. But the nice thing about the goo is, like, you can throw it, and then by the time they try and destroy the you probably have another one to throw, so you can, like, double up the goo and mega fortify, just so it takes a little bit longer for the enemies to get inside. So I actually think goo's going to be pretty good. It's really long as well. They buffed the length of it at some point in Season 3, I think. So it's pretty long, longer than the barrels. The barrels are 4 wide, and the grenades are 6 wide, so it's very long, so it covers like a huge area. And it's just pretty good for defense. Like, yes, it's weak to fire, and a lot of people like having fire on. It's also weak to explosives, like the CL40 gets rid of it pretty quick. But I feel like it's still pretty solid. And it's going in A just because I feel like in any given game, this is going to be useful. It's also good for, like, movement. If you throw it on, you know, like a windowless house, you can make, like, a stairway with it. And you can, like, throw 2 grenades, jump up to one, throw the other one, jump up to the other one, and then you can get onto the roof like that as well. So it's good for movement, too. So I think I'm actually going to leave that in A for now, because I like the movement, and I like the defense capabilities. And in general, you're just always going to have a use for it. Like everything in B, the glitch mine, that's only useful if someone runs over it. The glitch grenade, that's only good if you manage to hit someone with it, right? Same with the gas mine. Gateway is, you know, niche. C4 breach turret, those are pretty niche. APS turret, anti-gravity cube, you want to pair those with the right stuff. And flashbang, you know, just isn't really fantastic, to be honest, but it's still not worthy of C tier. So the goo is just like always going to be good. That's why I'm putting it in A. Then we have jump pad, and I'm also just going to pair this with the zipline because they're pretty much exactly the same thing. Both are very, 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 very good. I'm going to put them first in A. I'm thinking about putting them in S, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to put them first in A because the defib is just very good. I could also make like an S plus tier, put the defib in that, and then put jump pad and zipline in S, but I'm just going to leave them first in A. These are very good. If you're playing medium, you probably want to have either jump pad or zipline on. If you want mega movement, you can go for both, but you probably want to have at least one thing that gives you movement, because it's very valuable. And as a medium, you're going to be defibbing your teammates a lot, and this is going to be how you get up to your teammates' totems to be able to defib them in the first place. So good from getting from point A to point B, you know, opening that vault first, getting to the last overtime vault so you can open it before the other enemies try opening it to get that cash, or if you were trying to defend it so that no one starts the overtime, it's also going to allow you to get there first. So movement's just super duper mega handy. Also allows you to, you know, like get weird angles on people, you know, flank allows opportunities for that, and allows you to get to your teammates' totems if they died in a weird place. You want to have movement on. These allow for movement, therefore they are good. Then we have the motion sensor. This is for the heavy. I'll put this in B. I'll put it ahead of the flashbangs in B. Or maybe I'll put it ahead of the anti-gravity. No, I'll put it behind the anti-gravity cube. Almost last in B. They're fine. It can be somewhat useful. Obviously, sonar grenades are just going to be better, but these can be somewhat useful. It's basically sonar grenades, but a mine. It's basically sonar mine. Let's call it that. So it's fine, you know. It can tell you where people are. Obviously, enemies can destroy it pretty quickly, and in general, it's only going to mark 1 or 2 people. It's probably not going to mark the whole team because it's only the people that are close to it. And generally, you know, someone likes to flank. At least in my experience. Like 2 people like to stay together. And then, you know, if it's a light, they like to flank it. If it's a heavy, they like to charge in and kind of get pocketed by the 2 mediums that are maybe a little bit further away. So this can be good. It's fine. And you can, it's good for a little bit of, you know, recon. But you can probably put something else on, and that something will probably be more worthwhile. Like just going through dome and barricade, or dome and frag, or barricade and frag, you know, if you're heavy. So I think one of those are probably just going to be better, but you can run it if you want it. It's not like it sucks. It's not like it's really bad. It's fine. You can make it work. Oh, the riot shield's here. Let's just quickly put that back in the weapons section. And then we have the riot shield. Have I missed the sonar grenade? Is the sonar grenade somewhere? Maybe the sonar grenade isn't here. I don't think the sonar grenade is here. That's okay. We'll go find it in a minute. That's fine. Right, pyronade. This is probably going to go into B, because it's not always useful, but it definitely can be useful. Very, very good for getting rid of gas, very good for getting rid of goo, has a lot of utility. The only downside is you only have 1 of them, whereas you have 2 frags, so I think that's still going to be an A. I might rename this to niche. Let's say in B, some of this stuff is niche, but the rest of it is just like not fully worthy of being an A. Frags are always useful in every game. If you're running a pyronade, you might have a game where no one uses goo and no one uses gas. In which case you want frag grenades, right? So frag grenades, always useful. Barricade, dome, goo, zipline, jump out, always useful. Pyronade can be useful, right? So that's why I'm putting it in B. You also only have 1 of them. Definitely can be useful for sure, going up against goo or gas, but you only have 1 of them. So it's just not going to go into A. And we have the RPG, which I would say is still good. I would say the RPG is still good. I mean, it's still just an instant 100 damage. And I definitely wouldn't call it niche, and I feel like it is going to be useful in pretty much any situation in any game. It's always going to be useful, going to be a nice starter to the fight, and it is going to be nice for destruction as well. It got nerfed a bit too much in my opinion. I don't think it needed to have the weird reload on it as well. But I think it's still going to be good. I think it's still going to be like an instant 100 damage that you can get off on someone, which is pretty good. I know the frags do that as well, but they're not instant. It's much easier to land an RPG than it is to land a frag. So I think it's just still going to be an A. I think it's still going to be good, but it's not going to be like an absolute must pick, which is exactly how it was before. But now it's just, you know, a good thing to have on. Then we're going to go for the Vanishing Bomb, which I'm going to put into A. I think the Vanishing Bomb is pretty good, especially if you're pairing it with either Evasive Dash or Grappling Hook, because this basically just gives you a specialization for a while. Because obviously Cloaking Device is a specialization, and the Vanishing Bomb makes you go invisible, has the same effect as the Cloaking Device, so if you pair it with the Evasive Dash, then you can effectively have 2 specializations on at the same time for a limited amount of time. So I do think that this is pretty good. You know, obviously, if you know how to use the Cloaking Device well, you're probably going to know how to use this well. It's going to pair better with some stuff, like maybe a Sniper at super long ranges, or SH-1900 at super close ranges. And I guess it's good at the medium ranges as well. So it's pretty much always going to be good. And like, if you're getting up close to someone, it's going to be good. If you're trying to get away from someone, it's going to be good. If you want to, you know, get a snipe off on someone without them trying to duck and cover too much, it's going to be good. So pretty much it's going to be useful at least multiple times throughout a game. It's just always, you're always going to be able to make plays with this thing is what I'll say. Then we have the tracking dart. And I don't know if I want to put this into C or into B. I don't think it's as bad as the mine. Maybe I was a little bit too harsh on the mine. Where do I want to put this? I'll leave it in B for now. Because it does have 4 shots now, I think. So it can be worthwhile. I just think pretty much anything else for the medium is going to be better. So I'm going to put it last in B. I feel like you'll have a better time with pretty much anything else. But if you really want to use this, and if you've got very good aim, it can be useful to know where the enemies are. Especially if you manage to hit like all 3 of them. That can definitely be good. To know all of their whereabouts for like 8 seconds or whatever it is. So I don't think it's fantastic. It's going to require like a lot of skill for pretty minimal effort. Whereas you could just be shooting them with the Model 1887 with this instead. Like, if you're able to hit someone with this, this is damage that you could have done with the Pike. Or with the Model 1887. Or with the FAMAS. You could be doing damage instead of using this, right? So that already makes it pretty bad compared to pretty much everything else. Because if you, like, throw a grenade at someone, you don't always have field of view on them. Like, you might jump over some goo to see where they are, but then you lob the frag over it, right? So you're, like, throwing something offensive from a safe distance. But if you're using the tracking dart, that means you've got direct line of sight on someone, which means you could literally just be shooting them instead and doing damage and potentially getting a kill. So it's really not great, but I don't think it sucks or anything like that. I just think it's not going to be so good. I think it's generally just going to be better to do damage, but if you really want to, you know, play recon, then I'm sure you can make it worthwhile with certain loadouts. Like if you pair this with DMAT, then someone's running up a stairway and you DMAT the stairway to bring them down, then model them in the face, you can probably take them out pretty quickly. So there's probably some nice plays you can do with that, but I definitely think this is going to be like the nichiest of niches here, up in the niche tier. So gonna leave it last in B for now. Pyromine, I feel like is actually pretty okay. Because I think you have 2 of them. Let me just go check that real quick. Yeah, so you have 2 pyromines, and you also actually have 2 gas mines. So I think that these are actually going to be okay to use. I feel like these are going to be... They're not always going to be useful, though, and mines are pretty finicky. They're not going to be as useful as anything else in A. So I'm going to put Pyro first in A, and I'm going to put Gas second in A. In B, I mean. First and second in B. Because you have 2 of each of them. I thought you only had 1 gas mine, but I just double-checked there, and you actually have 2. So you have 2 of each of these, and they both do decent damage while kind of emitting an area of effect. An area denial of effect. Area of... It means you can't, you know, go where the gas or the fire is. For a limited amount of time. And also they do decent damage and you have 2 of them. So I feel like these are going to be okay. And I feel like, you know, instead of having 1 pyro grenade, it's probably going to be better to have 2 pyro mines. Instead of having 1 gas grenade, it's probably going to be better to have 2 gas mines, which is why they are in front. And no, the glitch mines are good. Even though you only have 1, it means they're still pretty good. Yeah, I'm happy to leave those there. So, first and second in B. Stun gun. Ooh. Does the stun gun go in S? Does the stun gun go in S? Or does it not go in S? Oh, that's real close. That's a real close decision. I'm going to put it in S, because I feel like the comments are going to get angry at me if I don't. I'm really, really thinking about putting it first in A, but I'll probably just end up leaving it in S. I was going to put it first in A, because there's a chance you're not going to use this with certain team compositions. Like, if you've got a sniper, for example, and you intend to only play from super far away, you're probably not going to get much use out of the stun gun. But then I thought about the fact that if you're close to someone and if you're trying to no-scope or quick-scope with them with the sniper, which does happen a lot, then the stun gun's still probably going to be quite useful. So I actually am just going to put it in S. In pretty much any game, pretty much any fight, at the medium to close ranges, this is going to be worthwhile. And even if you intend to stay at the longer ranges, if someone tries to flank you or something, you can stun them and then just get away. So I feel like if you're playing light, you should probably just put the stun gun on. I mean, the defib would go in like S+, and the stun gun would go in S. I feel like the defib is like a level above, but not by a whole lot. Just imagine there's like a lot of distance between the stun gun and the defib, I think. But the stun gun's good. It's always going to be useful. It really helps to slow the enemy down, makes them panic, and it is generally going to be a free kill. Like, if you stun them, then SH-1900 them, they're probably just going to die. If you stun them, M11 them, they're probably just going to die. If you stun them and you headshot them with a sniper, they're not going to be so hard to finish off. So there's a lot of things that you can do to just take them out pretty quickly after you stun them. So I think for that reason, the stun gun is going to go into S tier. Then we have smoke grenades, which I don't think are that good at all. They're not awful, so they're not D, but I also don't think they're niche. I think they're just bad. So I'm gonna put those. I'm gonna put the last in C because I think they're worse than mines. I might move them out in a second, but for now, I think the smokes are pretty bad. They just don't really offer a whole lot. The only thing they do is make your health disappear. So, it might occasionally be okay if you're trying to go for a risky defib, but, I mean, you can just defib straight away. And then, like, demat your teammate's body if you think they're going to get shot. So you can defib, while they're getting revived, demat, they'll drop down, and then, close the demat, and then they're safe. Instead of smoking, right? So, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of putting these on in, like, 99% of games. And you can really try and make these things work, but it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough to make these work. I did a challenge in one of my videos where I tried using the worst loadout. I think it was dual blades, data reshaper, smoke grenades, and then something else. I can't remember what the fourth slot was. But it was rough, and the smoke grenades really didn't do a whole lot. I would throw them around the place, but they're also a double-edged sword because you can't see anything and your enemies can't see anything. So it doesn't just like blind your enemies, it also blinds you, which isn't very helpful. So I'd say they're definitely pretty bad. Then we have thermal vision, which is also pretty bad. I don't really want to put this in C. You can make an argument for like smoking and then thermal visioning, but why would you want to do that if you can also just have like vanishing bomb and gateway on? Which is like smoke grenade and thermal vision basically just means you can see them, but they can't see you, right? It basically makes you go invisible. But then just put the vanishing bomb on. They can't see you and you can see them, right? And that's only one gadget instead of two, right? So just put the vanishing bomb on. So I actually am going to put these into C. I think you can make them pair well together if you really want to, or you can just put the vanishing bomb on, or run cloaking device, right? So I really don't feel like there's a whole lot of point in doing that. So that's going to go into C. And then we're missing sonar nades. I don't know why this list doesn't have sonar nades. So we're just going to pretend that the riot shield is the sonar grenades, okay? If someone's skipping to the end of the video and they don't know why the riot shield is getting placed here, it's because I'm pretending that the riot shield is the sonar grenades, because I don't feel like going and getting the sonar grenades and then importing that in and then potentially messing up the tier list, because I don't know how to use tier maker that well. So we're going to pretend that the sonar grenades are the riot shield. And the sonar grenades are going to go into A. They're just always going to be good. Pretty much any game, you're always going to have the opportunity to sonar something, and that's going to be able to tell you where the people are. Pretty big range on it. You get 3 bloops of it. Plenty of time to determine where they're most likely going to come from. You have 2 of them. They're just pretty solid. And I'm actually even going to put it ahead of the RPG. I'm going to put it ahead of the RPG and the Vanishing Bomb, because I think the Vanishing Bomb takes a little bit more skill to use. And I think the RPG's nerf is pretty hefty. But I think the Vanishing, the sonar nades, I'm actually going to put it in front of the goo as well, because they don't really have a counter, whereas the goo does. So, yeah. For anyone that's skipping to the end of the video, I'm pretending the riot shield is the sonar grenades. So, there you go. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything else. I might have, like, missed something, because the sonar grenades are missing. That makes me think something else might be missing. But I'm not thinking of it, which means it's most likely not so important, so I think I'm probably just going to leave it at that. The one thing that I am thinking about changing is the explosive mine. I think I am going to put this in... Am I going to put it into B? No, I'm not, because just use the pyro mine. You have 2 of them. It does, like, very similar amounts of damage because of the afterburn effect. And also it denies the air. Just use the pyro mine. Okay, we're going to leave that in C, I think. And the data reshaper is going to be the only thing that goes in there. Yeah. Defib and stun gun in the just put it on tier. Jump pad, zipline, frag, barricade dome, sonar, goo, vanishing bomb, RPG in everything that's good, the good list. And then stuff that's, you know, fine, that can be useful a lot of the time, but not all the time. Or stuff that's niche is the pyro, gas, pyro, glitch, gas, gateway, C4 breach, APS, anti-gravity, motion sensor, flashbang, and tracking dart. And the not so good stuff is the explosive mine, the smoke grenades, and the thermal vision. And then stuff that's bad is just the data reshaper. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm not missing any gadgets here. I don't think I am. Yeah. There you go. I think that's pretty good. By the way, when I did my weapon tier this video, that was for like the average player. And this isn't for the average player. This is for like any range, really. There's not really like a level at which you want to be using certain gadgets over others. This is just like what gadgets I think are best for people of all ranges. You know, instead of just like people in gold, which is kind of what the weapons tier this video was mainly focused towards the average player who's probably in like gold, plat, silver. But this is just like for everyone. This is probably going to be pretty much the same for like a top level player and for a bottom level player. But there were some things that I mentioned that would be better if you're trio stacking like the gateway, for example. So I did kind of touch on that throughout. And yep, I'm probably going to end that there. For anyone that's skipping to the end of the video, the riot shield is the sonar grenades, because there was no sonar grenade gadget, so I just pretended it was a sonar grenade. So there you go. Okay, lastly, I'm back from the future now. You're going to see the outro in a second, but just to finish off, the riot shield is going to go back down here, and I actually got the sonar grenades, so now we've actually got the sonar grenades there. And also the thermal bore is another one that wasn't in this tier list. So we've got one more to place, which is the thermal bore, unless I just missed it here. Because it does look like a weapon, actually. But I don't think I did. I think it's just not there anywhere. Okay, well, thermal bore. Thermal bore. It's not C or lower, and it's not A or above, which means you would think it would fall somewhere in the B tier. You know, it does damage, it destroys things. So it's basically going to be a better version of the breach charge, which makes me think I'm going to put it ahead of that and the C4. It's like a shootable breach charge, and you have 2 charges of them. You got the same amount of charges in both of them, but you can shoot it, and then it blows stuff up. So very, very good, particularly on something like suspended structures. If you don't have a way of getting up there, you can just make that fall down. And also good for just, you know, blowing up the cash out area and, you know, getting rid of all of the defenses and just pushing in with your team and making everything a little bit more chaotic. Also, if you like the, you know, kind of cracked/destroyed building fights with multiple levels open, lots of areas to come in and out of. If you're pairing this with like the cloaking device and the vanishing bomb, or just evasive dash and the vanishing bomb, and you're trying to be real sneaky, you know, going out one window, coming in through another, then shooting down at someone from above, this is probably going to be your friend. It's probably going to be quite good to use this if you're playing light in general. It can probably be quite good for just, you know, blowing stuff up. Not necessary, but I feel like it's probably going to be pretty good for the light. So I'm actually going to put it... No, I'm fine leaving it there. I'm fine leaving it there. Ahead of the C4 and the breach charge. I think that makes sense. Yeah. now I think that's actually it, and now we're going to go back to the outro. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.